Am I the antagonist for calling my husband ridiculous after he said I'm banned from buying certain clothes? Okay. So this is just so silly, but I'm not sure if I'm in the wrong here. My husband loves to see everything I buy whenever I go shopping on my own or with family. However, some weeks ago I bought a boyfriend jeans. My husband liked its style, but when he heard about what it's called, he flipped out and said that I'm married and can't be buying boyfriend jeans. I laughed it off, but the other day I came home with a boyfriend cardigan and he saw it and then lost it after he heard about what it's called. He said boyfriend this, boyfriend that. I really don't get what the hell is going on with you. I told him it was nothing and this is what the designers call these styles, but he accused me of seeking this stuff. I said no because it's the trend. He said that from now on out no boyfriend brand is allowed in the house, meaning I'm banned from buying this type of clothes, which made me snap and call him ridiculous and tell him he gets no say in how I shop and what to shop for. He looked offended, then walked out, then started giving me silent treatment except to say that I keep being inconsiderate and sarcastic about his thoughts and opinions on certain issues. I make sure to take his input under consideration, but I feel like he's being unreasonable. Am I the antagonist? NTA. He's going to be real confused when he hears about mom jeans and granddad sweaters. Your husband sounds incredibly insecure. Does he think that you literally borrowed them from a boyfriend? And then told him about it? You aren't responsible for the terms chosen by some clothing brand's marketing team. NTA LOL. I hope he doesn't wear wife beaters. NTA. He likes the style but is banning them over the name rolling on the floor laughing by a sweater and tell him it's a husband sweater. See if it's allowed then. Maybe you should start calling them husband clothes? I'd be concerned that he's displacing stress/anxiety from somewhere else into this issue, focusing on something trivial so as to avoid something serious. Am I the antagonist for denying my fiance's request to pay for his brother and his wife's IVF using my inheritance money? I have 32 have recently inherited money from my mom. She was only parent and losing her is beyond devastating. The money can barely be called inheritance because my mom and her family didn't have much, but it's better than nothing. My fiancé at first said I deserved it and have the right to do whatever I wanted with it. However, he told his whole family about, and then his infertile brother and his wife pulled him aside for a conversation. After that he started talking about wanting/needing a nephew/niece. Basically hinting about his brother's infertility issues, then flat out requested that I pay for his brother and wife's IVF treatment from my inheritance money. I was taken aback initially, but then I declined. He got mad saying I was selfish because, 1, he and I are blessed to never have issues with fertility. And 2, I literally have nothing to lose if I give them money. Easy money that I didn't work for. This upset me to the point where I lashed out at him, telling him to stop bothering and guilting me about it. I denied the request as a final decision. But he got more agitated and went on a campaign to shame me for treating him as if he's not my future husband, therefore gets say/right to my inheritance. And not giving a single crap about his family's issues. NTA. You are not a bank. Your inheritance is yours. Hearing that you didn't work for your mother's death should really make you consider this relationship with your fiancé. This is the beginning of controlling behavior. Listen to the warnings. NTA. He is showing you your future. Is this what you really want? I'd ditch him and find somebody who won't treat you this way. He doesn't need a niece/nephew. He might want one, but it isn't a need. His brother and sister-in-law need to figure out how to pay for IVF on their own. How would they intend to pay for a child? Put your inheritance money into an account somewhere that your fiancé cannot touch. Or else, it will magically disappear and his brother and his wife will be getting IVF. What the fuck? So very not the a-hole, and frankly this is a huge red flag for your relationship. ETA, I'm very sorry for your loss. I've also experienced the loss of a parent, and while it's nice to get something for me, it just made me feel sick. I kept a check at the bottom of my bag for months before my mom made me deposit it. Any purchases feel like they need to be important and very well thought out because it's what your parent worked for their whole life and you don't want to waste it. If my spouse asked me to just give it away, as if it's free money, I'd be livid. I'm not sure where you are, but in a lot of places, inheritance is not a marital asset, and even if you were married, he would have no right to say in how you use the money. I would take a step back and take a good look at how he's acting about this and wonder how finances would be handled in marriage. Am I the antagonist for refusing to attend my sister's wedding because she didn't invite my girlfriend? My sister, 36, is getting married on September 3rd. She has known her fiance for 3 years. My girlfriend, 38, and I, 44, have been together for almost 11 years. We have been living together for 8 years and we're expecting, although it's too early, so we haven't told anyone yet. My sister made it clear that she wanted an intimate wedding, 60 guests, and since my GF isn't wife, she didn't consider her family. My first reaction was that it's fine since it's her wedding, so I didn't RSVP. She called me to ask why I didn't, and TBH, I was confused, but it turned out she wanted me in the wedding but not my GF. I told her to forget about it and she was crying and raging since I'm her only brother and since Dad isn't in the picture, I'm supposed to be the one giving her away. I said a firm no, even if my GF said she didn't mind that. Yesterday she texted me and my GF that it's fine, we could come, both of us. My GF looked so sad, but she said it's up to me. So I texted back that we're not coming. Now every family member call me or text me to tell me I'm an AH for breaking my little sister's heart. I texted my uncle, who was invited to the wedding, to walk my sister, and he was glad to do it. Still, everyone is livid. Am I the antagonist? NTA, 11 years, that's family, and to not invite is just rude. You are not breaking anyone's heart. Your sister made a choice, and so did you. NTA, sure, it's up to her who's invited, but if you and your girlfriend are together for 11 years, that's longer than some of marriages. A relationship that's definitely serious enough to be acknowledged by family and friends. NTA. Your sister is allowed to decide who she invites and doesn't to her wedding, but you're the one who decides where you go. 60 guests isn't what I'd call an intimate wedding. It's a smaller wedding, sure, but not intimate. You and your GF have been together 11 years. She's family. It's really insulting that your sister feels there are 50+ people more important than her sister not-in-law. I wouldn't want to go either, particularly as she's only capitulated with poor grace. Am I the antagonist for refusing to stop saying my mother kidnapped my son? Firstly, sorry, this is on mobile and throwaway. I, F32, immigrated to my husband's, 39, home country 5 years ago, and we have a beautiful son who is 3. My mother, 52, has always been controlling and frankly is a typical narcissist. She was dead against my moving and was even more upset when I had my son. As a combination of her husband being terminally ill and the pandemic, she wasn't able to meet my son until this week, and she has complained bitterly how we cheated her out of her special time with her first grandson. I wasn't exactly excited about her coming to visit us, but my husband convinced me we should try to let our son have a relationship with her. Well, from the moment she arrived, she complained our house is too small, the garden is overlooked, etc. She complained my son doesn't speak much English and so she can't communicate with him. She complained that my son didn't want to hug her, that he wanted to stay with his paternal grandmother. My son spilt a drink and she shouted at him. We are taking the gentle approach, so I told her not to do that and why, and she lost it, telling me I have no idea how to raise a kid. I told her she needs to respect my methods or she can leave. She stopped, but the whole rest of the day you could tell she was furious. That night my son was having one of those nights where he just isn't going to sleep through. My poor husband also had an IBS flare-up in the early hours, and we realized we had no medication. When my son settled at around 7:30 a.m., I decided to do a quick run to the 24-hour pharmacy to get some medication, leaving son and husband both asleep on the sofa. I was gone for 20 mail-ins, but when I came back my mother's rental car was gone and so was my son while my husband was still asleep. He was as shocked as I was they had gone. Tried my mother's mobile, but no answer. After 45 mail-ins of me becoming increasingly hysterical, I called the police, who came out very fast and, when I explained as above, took things seriously. 6 hours later my mother pulled back up and started telling the police, most adults know English here, that I had told her she could take my son out for the day. I am currently 6 months pregnant, and she said it must be pregnancy brain, which the police seemed to accept and acted like the matter was closed since my son was home safely and showing everyone the toys he'd been bought. I told my mother to leave and that I never want to see her again. She started telling family I kicked her out for no reason and she can't find a hotel, and they blew up my phone, to which I told them she had kidnapped my son and I am going to pursue this with the police. Now I am being called an a-hole for saying my son was kidnapped when he was just taken on a day trip by his loving grandmother, and that an accusation like this could affect my mother's job as a nurse. Update: lots of people saying my husband shouldn't have pushed for this meeting. You are right, but I don't think he was wrong. He didn't force me to agree to it. I ultimately had the final say. And I get it, he is. We are lucky his parents are amazing, so despite knowing my mother isn't great, he didn't want our son to miss out. We expected some snide comments and awkwardness, but we're ready to ignore that for our son. Since my mother's normal weapon of choice is nasty comments, he wouldn't understand, so if we kept smiling he wouldn't know. I feel grief that my son is going to miss out on having another grandmother, but she made her bed. Update 2. Holy ST, is this real life? So she is now trying to change the narrative to I did not kidnap your son, but also if you think your husband could just sleep through an abduction, then your marriage is a sham / how could you be so reckless to leave your child with him? I cannot even with this. NTA also, you should press charges and make sure a restraining order is put, cause it's only gonna get worse from there. This was a kidnapping of a small child and should be taken with the utmost seriousness. NTA, it's truly irrelevant what all these people think. You escaped all the toxicity successfully by immigrating. Cut all ties with the kidnapper and everyone who supports her. Kidnapping is taking a child out of the custody of their legal guardian without permission or justification. That's literally the definition of what your mother did. By definition, she kidnapped your child. There are, a lot of laws against that. And it should affect her work as a nurse. There are rules about nurses not being kidnappers for a reason. They have to be able to be trusted with people who are vulnerable, and kidnappers are by definition untrustworthy. She should suffer the consequence of her actions. Whether she loses her job isn't of your concern if she can be put in her place for kidnapping your son. I couldn't imagine how terrifying it must have been when you came back and your son's gone, plus the fact she never answered the phone. That woman is toxic. Cut her off and continue telling others she kidnapped your kid, cause that's what she did. Am I the antagonist for telling my mom to remove / change a tattoo? I, 17 female TM, am trans and came out to my family a few months ago. All in all, everyone has been supportive, although I believe my mom was a tiny bit bummed. She said she would always support me, though. She just needs time to process all of this. Which is honestly painful. But not the reason why I'm here. My mom got a tattoo with my sister's name and my dead name after I was born. It's a huge tattoo with a unique design that incorporates her and my dead name. It covers most of her arm, and she is really proud of it because my old sister designed it and gifted it to her for her birthday. Obviously, constantly seeing my dead name is kind of triggering to me. Therefore, I told her she needs to remove it. She seemed shocked and told me she's too old for longer tattoo sessions. She hasn't gotten a tattoo in years, BC of that. She also was diagnosed with depression and such and uses it as an excuse for not having the energy to change it anymore. I don't really believe her, but whatever. Now she is often trying to cover it up with clothes, but I feel like it's not enough. Just the knowledge that that name is still there, it haunts me. But she refuses to change it. We had a lot of fights because of it, and she said that she is really trying to hide it, but it's a part of her body that she is in love with. BC, there is so much history and love for her children in that tattoo. I can't really relate, because I don't have any particularly significant tattoos. Now, my birthday was a few days ago and some family came over, and the issue came up. BC, my cousin was showing off her new tattoo and someone asked about the dead name tattoo. My mom got uncomfortably silent and excused herself and went to the kitchen. So, everyone started asking me what that was about, and I told them that I wanted her to remove the tattoo, but she doesn't want to. My sister also doesn't want her to. BC, she believes it would look really awful, since the entire design is attached to the names, and the only way to cover it would be to just make her entire arm black. Anyway, I didn't actually plan for that reaction, but my cousin, who can relate a bit, BC, she's queer, for some reason got furious and went after my mom and screamed at her for being so unsupportive and accused her of being transphobic. Which I don't believe, although it was nice to see someone get angry about the tattoo. BC, my cousin was finally saying some things I was feeling, but I didn't want to put into words. My mom then had a panic attack and left the house. She is now staying with my grandpa, and my dad and my sister are angry at me for making some of my family gang up on her. Am I the antagonist? Edit, I read most of your comments and I tried apologizing to my mom, but she's currently in C. There's more stuff happening, especially with my cousin, but I don't know how updating works. I'll try to post one once I figure out how. P.S. I showed this to my sister as well, and she wants me to say thanks to you all, and she wholeheartedly agrees with everyone who says that I'm TA. Why TA? You have the right to change your body and your life so that you may walk through the world comfortable in your own skin. It would be hypocritical to take that same right away from your mother, and asking her to change or cover up her tattoo would be doing just that. This might be an unpopular comment, but you're the a-hole. Depression is real whether you believe it or not. It is her body, and she gets to control what is on it. She also has a serious health issue, and you are not giving that consideration because removal and alterations are painful and not easy. She obviously loves you. She is being supportive by covering it, but it is her body. Not yours to control. Edit, your cousin was wildly inappropriate and owes her an apology. It's really disturbing that you can articulate that you know your mother isn't transphobic, yet you relish and delight at your mother being abused and verbally attacked for transphobia just because it might help you get your way. That is truly disgusting, ugly, beyond narcissistic behavior. You're behaving entirely selfishly with your mother and disregarding her obvious mental health issues to worry about your own issues. She can do what she wants with her body. It's her body, not yours. Also, expecting someone to go through a tattoo removal over a name is an move. Lay off of her and maybe even apologize. All you're doing is burning bridges that don't need to be burned. Am I the antagonist for uncovering my mother-in-law's secret? I, 25, gave birth to my daughter 2 months ago, and despite my husband, 28, telling me he knows I'd never cheat on him, I wanted to give our daughter a paternity test. The reason: she has green eyes. Me and my husband don't have green eyes. My parents don't either, and neither do my in-laws. No one in my family has them. My husband said it was probably some weird genetic thing, but I wanted the test for his peace of mind. He kept refusing because he trusts me, but his mother keeps commenting on her eyes, as do the rest of his family, who keep making comments about me possibly cheating. Even my family finds it odd our daughter has green eyes. My husband says to ignore them because he knows I'd never cheat, but I finally had enough of his family's comments and told him I wanted the test. He only agreed to get me to calm down, and well, our daughter is his, but FIL isn't my husband's father. My in-laws have been married for decades, so the idea that my mother-in-law cheated on FIL never crossed either of our minds. My husband wants to confront his mother, but I'm telling him to wait, that yes, she's a liar and a hypocrite, but we need to think this through. Yes, I agree my FIL should know, but we're both tired from taking care of a newborn. We found out something shocking and we're not thinking rationally. He wants to tell his father, and so do I, but the fallout will be apocalyptic. I just wanted to give him peace of mind, and instead, I started the end of his parents' marriage and possibly blew up his family. Am I the antagonist for forcing a DNA test and finding out about this CNA of worms? Edit. We did 2 tests, paternity and 23andMe. I wanted to see if maybe there was a relative we just didn't know about that could have caused my daughter's eye color. NTA. But next time your mother-in-law talks about green eyes, just look her dead in the eyes and say, "Oh, I know how they got green eyes." It's 2022, there are ways of finding these things out. NTA. Damn, your mill was projecting so much. Now her ass is gone be uncovered, lol. Can't wait to see an update of this. Info: you tested your husband and your daughter and the result is that your husband isn't your FIL son? How? You're welcome to ask for some time before dropping this bombshell, but equally it's not your bombshell to drop, and your husband probably wants answers more than you want peace. It's his family and his drama, let him choose.